The stars shimmered silently in the viewing chamber as Commander Zixtal stared at the holographic display. Another world had gone dark. That made 18 planets lost to the Void Harvesters in less than one standard cycle. The blue-skinned alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep distress among his species. "Commander, the Council is waiting," said his aide, hovering near the doorway. Zixtal nodded and stepped away from the display. The Galactic Federation had governed thousands of species across countless star systems for over 10,000 years. Peace had reigned for so long that most Federation citizens couldn't comprehend the horror now consuming their outer worlds. The council chamber was circular, with representatives from the 30 most powerful species seated in ascending rings. Voices echoed throughout the chamber as arguments broke out. "We must evacuate the border systems immediately," shouted one counselor, his tentacles waving frantically. "And go where?" demanded another. "The harvesters move faster than our evacuation ships." Zixtal took his place at the center of the chamber. "Honored counselors, I bring grave news. The colony on Praxis 7 has been consumed. 3 billion lives lost." Silence fell across the chamber. 3 billion more added to the death toll. "What are the harvesters?" asked a newly appointed counselor, her feathers rustling nervously. An ancient counselor named Drelvak rose slowly. "They are not from our galaxy. They come from the void between stars, crystalline entities that operate as a hive mind. They consume organic matter and convert it to energy. They are not malicious, they simply harvest like we might harvest grain. But we are the grain." "Our weapons have no effect," Zixtal continued. "They adapt to energy signatures within minutes. Our most powerful weapons merely slow them down." The council descended into chaos again until the Supreme Counselor's voice cut through the noise. "Commander Zixtal, your science division reported a potential solution. Please share it with the full council." All eyes turned to Zixtal. He hesitated, knowing his next words would be controversial. "My chief scientist, Krina, has discovered ancient records from before the Federation was formed. These records speak of a species with unique neural patterns that might disrupt the harvester hive mind." "Which species?" demanded several counselors. "At once, humans," Zixtal replied simply. The chamber erupted. Humans were quarantined behind a sensor network that hid their solar system from the rest of the galaxy. The Federation had deemed them too dangerous, too unpredictable, too violent for inclusion in galactic society. "Impossible," shouted one counselor. "We sealed Earth away for good reason. Their history is nothing but war and destruction." "They would be more dangerous than the harvesters," called another. Supreme Counselor Vexer raised his hand for silence. "Commander, explain your reasoning." Zixtal gestured, and a hologram appeared showing a human brain scan beside a harvester neural pattern. "Humans think differently than any other known species. Their brains form unusual connections, create unpredictable patterns. Our scientists believe this might scramble the harvester hive mind, making them vulnerable." "Even if that were true," said a skeptical counselor, "humans are primitive. They haven't even mastered faster than light travel." "Actually," Krina stepped forward, her slim form moving to stand beside Zixtal, "our scans show they've made significant technological progress since quarantine was imposed. They've colonized their moon and Mars. They've developed advanced AI systems and quantum computing. They're on the verge of discovering warp technology independently." The council murmured. This was unexpected. "It doesn't matter," said Drelvak. "The quarantine was placed for a reason. Humans solve problems through violence. Every stage of their evolution was marked by war. And now we face an enemy that cannot be reasoned with," Zixtal countered. "One that can only be defeated." The debate raged for hours until Supreme Counselor Vexer called for a vote. By the narrowest margin, the council approved a desperate plan. Krina would take a small stealth vessel to breach the quarantine zone and make contact with humans. The Federation would ask for help from the very species they had hidden away, from the galaxy. "They won't come," muttered one counselor as the session ended. "Why would they help us after we imprisoned their entire species? And if they do come," warned Drelvak, "the galaxy may never be the same." John Garrick stared at the stars from the observation deck of Lunar Defense Base Alpha. At 55, the former Navy SEAL now headed Earth's Unified Defense Command, overseeing the protection of all human settlements in the solar system. His weathered face reflected the soft glow of Earth hanging in the blackness. "Beautiful view," said a voice behind him. John turned to see Ellie Winters approaching. At 42, she was the world's leading xenolinguist, though she had never met an actual alien. No human had, as far as they knew. "Always is," John replied. "How's the new translation algorithm coming?" Ellie smiled. "We're ready for first contact, if it ever happens." "General Ramirez thinks it's a waste of resources," John said with a slight smile. "He says if aliens exist, they would have found us by now." "Diego's a good man, but he lacks imagination," Ellie replied. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent beep from John's communicator. He frowned as he checked the message. "What is it?" Ellie asked, noticing his expression. "Unknown object just appeared at the edge of our solar system, moving fast. Too fast for anything we've built." They hurried to the command center where screens showed the incoming object. It was unlike any ship design humans had created. "It's broadcasting something," said a young officer at the communications station. "Some kind of signal, not in any language we recognize." "Route it through Ellie's translation matrix," John ordered. Seconds later, the speakers crackled to life. The voice was strange, clearly synthesized but conveying unmistakable urgency. "People of Earth, this is Science Officer Krina of the Galactic Federation. We come in peace and in desperate need. Our civilization faces extinction. You are our last hope." The command center fell silent. "It's a trick," said General Diego Ramirez as he entered the room. "Has to be." "The object is damaged," reported another officer. "Heavy radiation leakage. Whatever it is, it's barely holding together." The alien voice continued. "We know you have been kept unaware of the wider galaxy. This was our mistake, but now we need your help. Only humans can save us from the void harvesters." "Should we respond?" asked a communications officer. John and Ellie exchanged glances. First contact, the moment humanity had both dreamed of and feared, was happening at the worst possible time, with an alien literally begging for help. "Yes," John said finally. "Tell them we're sending an escort to bring them to lunar base, and alert the president. History just changed forever." As Earth's defense ships moved to intercept the alien vessel, Ellie couldn't help but wonder what desperate situation would drive an advanced civilization to seek help from humans. "They thought no one would arrive," Ellie murmured, watching the alien ship grow larger on the screen. "They're about to learn how wrong they were." Krina's damaged ship landed at Lunar Base Alpha under heavy guard. Earth's military forces surrounded the landing pad, weapons ready. Medical teams waited nearby in sealed suits, unsure if alien biology would pose risks to humans. The entire world watched through video feeds as humanity's first official alien encounter unfolded. President Samantha Cole observed from a secure bunker beneath the White House. At her side stood her closest advisors, including Leo Garcia, head of Earth Intelligence. "Madam President, I strongly advise caution," Leo said. "This could be an elaborate trick." The president nodded but kept her eyes on the screen. "If they wanted to attack us, they have technology far beyond our weapons. Why bother with this show, Davier?" Alien ship's hatch opened slowly, releasing a hiss of unfamiliar gas. A slender figure emerged. Krina. She stood just under 5 feet tall with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the harsh lights. Her four-fingered hands were raised in what she hoped humans would recognize as a peaceful gesture. John Garrick stepped forward as Earth's representative with Ellie Winters close behind. "I am John Garrick of Earth's Unified Defense Command. We received your message." Krina bowed slightly. "Thank you for not destroying my vessel. I understand your caution. My species is called Trilaxian. I serve as science officer for the Galactic Federation." Ellie's translation device worked perfectly, converting the alien's strange clicks and whistles into English. She couldn't hide her excitement at meeting an actual alien after years of theoretical work. "You said we've been kept unaware of the wider galaxy," John said. What did you mean by that? Kreena's large eyes blinked slowly. May I show you? I have brought data that will explain everything. After careful scanning for weapons or biological threats, Kreena was escorted to a secure conference room within the base. John, Ellie, General Ramirez, and several other high-ranking officials gathered around as Kreena placed a small crystal on the table. This contains the truth about humanity's place in the galaxy, she said. The crystal projected a three-dimensional image showing thousands of star systems connected by lines of light, the Galactic Federation. One small section was circled in red, Earth solar system. 500 Earth years ago, the Federation discovered your planet, Kreena explained. We observed your civilization and found it concerning. Concerning how? Asked General Ramirez, his voice tight with suspicion. Your species evolved as predators. Your entire history is marked by conflict. You solve problems through force that other species solve through cooperation. The Federation Council voted to place a quarantine around your solar system, a network of satellites that hide your sun from detection and deflect your signals away from inhabited space. Stunned silence filled the room. You imprisoned us, John said quietly. We protected the galaxy from you, Kreena corrected. And perhaps protected you from the galaxy. Many would have seen humans as a threat to be eliminated, not isolated. The crystal's display changed to show crystalline creatures shaped like massive spiders, each the size of a small building. They moved across a planet's surface, consuming everything in their path. The Void Harvesters arrived 1 year ago from beyond our galaxy. They are a crystalline hive mind that consumes organic matter for energy. 18 worlds have been lost, with billions dead. Ellie leaned forward. And you think humans can help? How? Our weapons are ineffective. The harvesters adapt too quickly. But human neural patterns are unique in our galaxy. Chaotic, unpredictable. Our scientists believe this might disrupt their hive-mind connection. General Ramirez laughed bitterly. So the very reasons you feared us are why you need us now. Kreena's shoulders drooped slightly. Yes, the Federation was wrong to fear your differences rather than value them. President Cole, watching via secure video link, spoke for the first time. What exactly are you asking for, Science Officer Kreena? Warriors, strategists, your military leaders, and permission to study human brain patterns to develop weapons against the Harvester hive mind. Leo Garcia, who had been silently observing, finally spoke. And what do we get in return? Technology, knowledge, your rightful place in the galactic community, and survival. The harvesters will eventually find Earth, quarantine or not. The meeting continued for hours as Kreena shared details about the Federation, the harvesters, and the desperate situation facing thousands of civilizations. When the alien finally returned to her ship to rest, Earth's leaders gathered to debate their response. It could still be a trap, warned Leo. An elaborate story to get us to lower our guard. The ship's technology is real enough, said Ryan Bishop, Earth's top military strategist. I've never seen anything like it. Ellie spoke up. If what she says is true, this is the greatest opportunity in human history. Access to alien technology, knowledge of the universe. And all we have to do is fight someone else's war, General A. Ramirez cut in. President Cole sighed. Have Kara Johnson's engineering team begin studying the alien ship's technology. If Kreena is telling the truth, we need to understand what we're dealing with quickly. Kara was a brilliant engineer who had pioneered Earth's quantum propulsion systems. Within hours of examining Kreena's damaged vessel, she requested an urgent meeting. Madam President, the technology is beyond anything we've imagined, but I understand the basic principles, she reported via video link. Their faster-than-light drive could be adapted to our ships with enough time and resources. And the weapons? Asked General Ramirez. Advanced energy weapons, but the most interesting thing is their defensive shields. With these, our ships could survive in deep space even against advanced threats. President Cole nodded. What about the data Kreena provided on these harvesters? Ryan Bishop answered that question. If even half of what she showed us is true, the harvesters are the most dangerous enemy imaginable. They don't negotiate. They don't retreat. They simply consume until nothing remains. The president stood by the window of her office, looking up at the night sky. Humanity has dreamed of meeting alien life for generations. We imagined friendship, knowledge sharing. Instead, we're being asked to fight a war for people who kept us prisoner. "What's your decision, Madam President?" asked John Garrick. She turned to face the room. "Prepare our forces. If these harvesters are real, they're a threat to us all, and inform Kree that humanity accepts the challenge." "The Federation thinks we're primitive," she continued. "They thought we wouldn't help or couldn't help. They're about to learn how wrong they were, as word spread across Earth that aliens existed and needed human help. An unprecedented wave of volunteers flooded military recruitment centers. Scientists worked around the clock to understand alien technology. For the first time in history, all of humanity united with a single purpose. Deep in space, on the edge of Federation territory, another world went dark as the harvesters continued their relentless advance, unaware that a species they had never encountered was preparing to change the rules of the war. 1 month after Kreena's arrival, Earth had transformed. Every major nation pooled their resources into a single goal, preparing for war against an enemy few humans had ever seen. Military bases hummed with activity day and night. Scientists worked in shifts to adapt alien technology to human ships. Kreena watched with growing amazement from her quarters at Lunar Base Alpha. She had expected help from humans, perhaps a few ships or soldiers. Instead, she witnessed an entire planet mobilizing for war with speed and determination that stunned her. "Your people move quickly," she remarked to John Garrick during one of their daily meetings. "When we need to," he replied. "We're used to facing threats together." "The Federation believed humans were too aggressive, too dangerous," Kreena said. "Now I understand what they truly feared, not your violence but your unity of purpose when threatened." In orbit around Earth, the first retrofitted human vessels prepared for their test flights. 10 ships, previously Earth's most advanced military vessels, had been upgraded with Federation technology. Kara Johnson had worked miracles adapting the alien tech to human systems. Admiral Lisa Mason stood on the bridge of the flagship now, renamed Thunderchild. At 48, Lisa had commanded Earth Space Forces for 5 years. Now she would lead humanity's first venture beyond their solar system. "All systems ready, Admiral," reported her first officer. "Warp drive is online." Lisa took a deep breath. "Signal the fleet. Prepare for warp test on my mark." The 10 ships moved into formation. Each was armed with weapons no human had dreamed possible a month ago. Each carried crew chosen from the best military personnel on Earth. 3, 2, 1 mark, Lisa counted down. The ships vanished in flashes of light, leaving Earth behind for the first time in human history. Commander Zixtal paced anxiously in his office on Proxima Station, the Federation's headquarters. The latest reports from the front lines were grim. 3 more systems had fallen to the harvesters. Federation forces retreated everywhere. Even the ancient Volrax, with their powerful psychic defenses, had been overwhelmed. "Commander," his aide interrupted. "We're receiving a priority signal from Sector 12. Unknown ships have appeared." Zixtal rushed to the command center. "Show me." The display activated, showing 10 vessels of unfamiliar design approaching the station. "They're broadcasting on Federation frequencies," reported a communications officer. "Put them through," ordered Zixtal, his 4 hearts beating rapidly. A human female appeared on screen. "This is Admiral Lisa Mason of Earth Fleet Thunderchild. We're responding to your request for assistance." The command center fell silent. Zixtal stared at the human, struggling to find words. "You came." "We did," Lisa replied simply. "And we're ready to fight." News of the human fleet's arrival spread through Proxima Station like wildfire. Many Federation species had never seen a human before. Some reacted with fear, others with curiosity. The station's security forces went on high alert. When the human delegation arrived at the station's main dock, crowds gathered to see them. Lisa Mason led a group of 20 humans, including tactical experts, scientists, and military officers. They walked with confident strides that marked them as warriors. "The Supreme Council requests your presence immediately," Zixtal told Lisa. They did not truly believe any humans would respond to our plea. The council chamber was packed as the humans entered. Supreme Counselor Vexor rose to greet them. "Admiral Mason, on behalf of the Galactic Federation, I welcome you and thank you for answering our call for aid." Lisa stepped forward. "Earth has sent us as the first wave. More ships are being prepared as we speak. We're here to help stop these harvesters." An uncomfortable murmur ran through the council. "First wave?" asked one counselor. "How many ships do you intend to send?" "As many as needed," Lisa replied firmly. "Earth is committed to this fight." The ancient counselor, Drelvok, spoke up. "Admiral, while we appreciate your assistance, we must establish protocols. The Federation has strict rules about military engagement to minimize civilian casualties and environmental damage." Kyle Winters, Earth's top tactical officer, stepped forward. "With respect, Counselor, from what we've seen, your protocols haven't worked against the harvesters. Traditional tactics fail against them." "What do you propose instead?" asked Zixtal, genuinely curious. "Hit and run attacks, guerrilla warfare, unconventional weapons, and most importantly, we need to study the enemy up close," Kyle explained. "That would be suicide," gasped a counselor. "It's necessary," Lisa insisted. "We need to understand how they think, how they fight, what hurts them." The debate raged for hours. Federation species had grown comfortable with formal, predictable warfare. The human approach seemed reckless, even barbaric to some. But with their worlds falling one by one, the council had little choice. "Very well," Supreme Counselor Vexor finally agreed. "We will permit a joint mission. One Federation ship and one human ship will attempt to engage a Harvester scout vessel. 3 days later, the human ship Stormbreaker and the Federation cruiser Harmony set out to find a Harvester scout. They didn't have to wait long. At the edge of an abandoned system, they detected crystalline structures moving through space. Eric Sullivan, pilot of the Stormbreaker, felt his pulse quicken as the enemy came into view. The Harvester resembled a massive crystal spider, its body glowing with internal energy. "Federation ship is moving into position," reported his co-pilot. "They're charging weapons." The Harmony fired first, its energy beams striking the Harvester directly. The crystalline surface absorbed the attack, with no visible damage. "Federation weapons ineffective," Eric reported to Admiral Mason via subspace communication. "Attempting our approach now." Unlike the Harmony's direct attack, the Stormbreaker circled the Harvester, launching small probes that attached to the crystal surface. Each probe contained sensors and experimental weapons. "Probes in position," Eric reported. "Beginning test sequence." Each probe tried different attacks: sonic pulses, molecular disruptors, nanite swarms. Most had no effect. But when the electromagnetic pulse hit, a section of the crystal structure darkened. "We've got something," Eric exclaimed. The EMP disrupted its energy flow. Before they could capitalize on the discovery, the Harvester turned and launched crystalline shards toward both ships. The Harmony's shields failed under the assault, and the Federation ship began to retreat. "Hold position," Eric ordered his crew. "Concentrate all EMP weapons on the dark section." The Stormbreaker fired again and again at the same spot. The Harvester's movements became erratic, its crystal body flickering between light and dark. "One more hit," Eric said through gritted teeth. The final pulse struck true. With a silent explosion, the Harvester shattered into thousands of crystal fragments. Cheers erupted on the bridge of the Stormbreaker. For the first time in the war, a Harvester had been destroyed. When the news reached Proxima Station, the Federation Council was stunned. Zixtal watched the humans celebrate with newfound respect. "They did what we could not," he told Supreme Counselor Vexor. "They found a way to fight." "Yes," Vexor replied quietly. "And I fear the galaxy will never be the same once they are finished." News of the Harvester Scouts' destruction spread rapidly through Federation space. For the first time since the invasion began, hope flickered among the countless species of the galaxy. On Proxima Station, Federation engineers worked alongside human technicians to develop weapons based on the electromagnetic pulse technology that had proven effective. But the harvesters responded quickly. Within 2 weeks, reports came in that the crystalline invaders had adapted to simple EMP attacks. Their outer shells now reflected electromagnetic pulses rather than absorbing them. They learn, Grace Chen explained to the Joint Federation Human War Council. At 38, Grace was Earth's leading expert on alien biology. She had spent days studying the fragments recovered from the destroyed harvester. They communicate their experiences to the hive mind, and all harvesters adapt together. Then we must adapt faster, Admiral Mason stated firmly. Every time they change, we change our tactics. The concept was simple to humans but revolutionary to many Federation species. For millennia, they had relied on established protocols and careful planning. Rapid adaptation and improvisation were not their strengths. Sixtail found himself increasingly impressed by the humans. "Your species thinks differently than any I've encountered," he told John Garrick during a rare quiet moment. "You see opportunities where we see only problems." "It's how we survived on Earth," John replied. "We've always had to adapt or die." On the densely populated Federation world of Nestoria Prime, panic grew as harvester ships were detected approaching the system. With a population of 20 billion, evacuation was impossible. The Federation Council debated abandoning the planet to save resources. "Unacceptable," Olivia Peters said firmly. At 44, she served as Earth's diplomatic representative to the Federation. Though new to galactic politics, she spoke with an authority that made even ancient counselors listen. "We don't sacrifice billions of lives without a fight." "But what can we do?" asked a Nestorian representative, his feathered crest flat with despair. "Our defenses cannot stop them." Kyle Winters stepped forward with a holographic display. "We make a stand, here, at Nestoria Prime, but we fight differently." The plan he outlined shocked many counselors. Instead of positioning defensive ships around the planet as Federation doctrine dictated, Kyle proposed hiding most of their fleet behind Nestoria's 3 moons. Meanwhile, they would convert civilian ships into decoys, creating the illusion of a traditional defense. "You would use our civilians as bait?" gasped a counselor. "No," Kyle corrected. "The civilian ships will be empty, controlled remotely. When the harvesters commit to attacking what they believe is our main fleet, our real ships will hit them from behind." "An ambush," Zixtal said, understanding dawning. "Such tactics are uncommon in Federation warfare." "But effective, Admiral," Mason added. "We need to stop thinking like defenders and start thinking like predators." The word predator made several counselors shift uncomfortably. It reminded them why humans had been quarantined in the first place. After heated debate, Supreme Counselor Vexor approved the plan. "Necessity drives us to new methods," he conceded. "Prepare your ambush, Admiral Mason." As Federation engineers helped retrofit civilian vessels with remote control systems, Ben Franklin led training sessions for Federation military personnel. At 50, Ben had decades of combat experience on Earth, and now found himself teaching alien species the basics of guerrilla warfare. "You're too predictable," he told a group of Tralaxian officers during a simulation. "Stop moving in formation, split up. Make the enemy guess where you'll strike from." The Tralaxians struggled with the concept. For 20,000 years, their military had valued order and precision. "It feels wrong," confessed their commander. "That's exactly why it will work," Ben explained patiently. "The harvesters have learned your patterns. They expect you to behave according to Federation military doctrine. We need to surprise them." Slowly, reluctantly, Federation forces began to adapt to human tactics. Some species learned faster than others. The reptilian Dracs, with their hunting heritage, quickly embraced ambush strategies. The peaceful Volrax struggled with the concept of deception, but contributed their advanced sensor technology to the effort. 3 days before the harvesters were expected to reach Nestoria Prime, Grace Chen made a breakthrough. "It's their communication system," she announced to Admiral Mason and Commander Zixtal. The harvesters use quantum entanglement to communicate instantly across vast distances. That's how they adapt so quickly. Can we block it? Asked Zixtal. Grace shook her head. Not block, but we might be able to disrupt it. Quantum signals are delicate. If we generate enough random quantum noise, we could temporarily cut off individual harvesters from the hive mind. How long would the disruption last? Admiral Mason asked. Minutes at most, Grace admitted. But in battle, minutes could be enough. Engineers worked around the clock to build quantum disruptors based on Grace's designs. They managed to produce 12 devices before the harvester fleet arrived at Nestoria Prime. As planned, the remotely controlled civilian ships formed a defensive perimeter around the planet. The real fleet, 20 human vessels and 30 Federation cruisers, hid behind the moons, waiting. The harvester fleet was massive, over 50 crystal ships, each capable of consuming a city in hours. They moved with eerie precision toward the decoy fleet. They're taking the bait, reported Eric Sullivan from the bridge of the Stormbreaker, moving exactly as predicted. Admiral Mason watched the tactical display from her flagship. All ships, prepare quantum disruptors. Target the lead harvester vessels. Fire on my mark. Across the combined fleet, weapons officers readied the experimental devices. No one knew if they would work. 3, 2, 1, mark. Admiral Mason counted down. 12 quantum disruptors fired simultaneously. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then several harvester ships suddenly stopped moving. Their crystal structures dimmed. It's working, Grace exclaimed. Their connection to the hive mind is disrupted. All ships attack pattern thunder, ordered Admiral Mason. The hidden fleet emerged from behind the moons, weapons blazing. The isolated harvesters, cut off from the collective intelligence that guided them, responded slowly and ineffectively. For the first time, the Federation witnessed a harvester fleet in disarray. Ships collided with each other. Some fired at empty space. Others remained motionless. The effect won't last long, Grace warned. Maybe 5 more minutes before they re-establish connection. Then we make those minutes count, Admiral Mason replied. All ships focus fire on the confused ones first. The battle for Nestoria Prime became the turning point in the war. Before the quantum disruption wore off, the combined fleet destroyed 17 harvester vessels. The remaining enemies retreated, another first in the conflict. As the Federation celebrated their victory, Drelvok watched the humans with newfound respect and lingering concern. They saved billions today, he acknowledged to Zixtal. But I wonder if the galaxy is ready for the storm they bring. Ready or not, Zixtal replied, humanity has descended upon us like thunder, and the harvesters are finally learning what it means to be prey instead of predator. 2 months after the Battle of Nestoria Prime, the war had changed dramatically. Humanity's fleet had grown to 100 ships, all equipped with Federation technology and human innovation. The once unstoppable harvesters now faced an enemy that adapted as quickly as they did. But the crystalline invaders were far from defeated. They had pulled back to regroup, concentrating their forces for what intelligence suggested would be a massive assault on the Federation's core worlds. On day. Proxima Station. Admiral Lisa Mason studied the tactical display with Commander Zixtal and Supreme Counselor Vexer. They're gathering here. Lisa pointed to a region of space near the center of Federation territory. We believe they plan to strike at Centauri Alpha. Centauri Alpha was the oldest and most populated world in the Federation. Over 50 billion sentient beings called it home. Its fall would cripple Federation morale beyond recovery. Our quantum disruptors are no longer as effective, Grace Chen reported. The harvesters have started using multiple redundant communication channels. We can still disrupt them, but only for seconds rather than minutes. The room fell silent. Their key advantage was fading. Then we need something more powerful, said Frank Miller. At 35, Frank was a combat veteran who had fought in Earth's last regional conflict. Now he commanded a strike team of human soldiers who had studied harvester behavior up close. We need to hit their central node. Central node? Asked Vexer. Grace explained. We believe the harvesters have a primary control ship, a central node that coordinates the entire hive mind. Our analysis of their movement suggests it stays hidden behind their main fleet. If we could destroy it, Frank continued, we might not just disrupt the hive mind temporarily. We could shatter it completely. How do you propose we reach this central node? Asked Zixtal. It will be protected by hundreds of harvester vessels. Will Rodriguez, Earth's chief engineer, stepped forward with a holographic display. We've designed a special ship, small, fast, nearly invisible to harvester sensors. It could slip past their defenses while the main fleet engages them. The ship on the display was unlike any other in the human or Federation fleet. Barely large enough for a crew of 3, it incorporated both stealth technology and a powerful, new weapon. The ship carries an enhanced quantum disruptor, Will explained. Much more powerful than our current models. If it can get close enough to the central node, it could generate a disruption field that would spread throughout their entire network. It's a suicide mission, Zixtal said quietly. Whoever pilots this ship will likely never return. I'll go, said Admiral Mason without hesitation. The room erupted in protest. Lisa was too valuable as a fleet commander. The mission was too dangerous for someone of her rank. No, said Frank firmly. This is my mission. In the end, a team of 3 volunteered. Frank Miller, Grace Chen, and a young Federation pilot named Jixmore, who knew harvester movement patterns better than anyone. As preparations for the final battle accelerated, something unexpected happened. Federation citizens began treating humans not as dangerous outsiders but as honored allies. Species that had once feared humanity now saw them as saviors. Young Jixmore represented this new generation of Federation citizens. Unlike the older generations, he had worked alongside humans from the beginning and admired their courage and adaptability. My ancestors would never have imagined fighting alongside humans, he told Frank during a training session. They taught us humans were dangerous. We are dangerous, Frank replied with a small smile, just not to our friends. The day of the battle arrived too soon. The combined fleet, over 200 ships from both Earth and the Federation, gathered near Centauri Alpha. Intelligence confirmed that nearly 300 harvester vessels approached, the largest concentration seen since the invasion began. Admiral Mason addressed the fleet from the bridge of the Thunderchild. Today we fight not just for Earth or the Federation, but for all life in this galaxy. The harvesters consume without thought or mercy. We will show them that life fights back. As the massive fleets engaged, Frank, Grace, and Jixmore boarded their small stealth ship, now named Lightning Strike. Their mission was simple but nearly impossible. Wait until the battle created enough chaos to mask their approach, then slip through the harvester lines to find and destroy the central node. The main battle was like nothing the galaxy had ever witnessed. Federation ships, once rigid in their formations, now fought with human unpredictability. Human vessels executed maneuvers that seemed suicidal, but repeatedly surprised the enemy. For every human or Federation ship lost, 3 harvester vessels were destroyed. Aboard the Lightning Strike, Grace monitored harvester communications. There, she finally said, pointing to a display. That energy signature is different from the others. It must be the central node. The central node was massive, 3 times larger than any harvester ship they had seen before. Its crystal structure pulsed with colors that hurt the eyes to look at directly. Getting closer will be difficult, warned Jixmore as he piloted the small ship through debris and ongoing battles. They have many defenders. Just get us within range, Frank said, his hands steady on the weapon controls. The lightning strike took heavy damage as it approached. A crystal shard tore through the lower deck. Life support systems failed. But Jixmore's piloting skills kept them moving forward. We're in range, Grace announced. Activating quantum disruptor now. The weapon hummed to life, drawing power from every system on the ship. Frank targeted the center of the node and fired. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the central node began to pulse erratically. Colors flashed across its surface in chaotic patterns. It's working, Grace exclaimed. The disruption is spreading through their network. Throughout the battlefield, harvester ships suddenly stopped moving. Some began firing at each other. Others simply drifted in space, their lights dimming. We need to get out of here, Frank said, even as warning lights flashed across their control panel. Too late for that, Jixmore replied calmly. But our message is getting through to the fleet. As the lightning strike's systems failed, Grace sent one last transmission. Central node vulnerable. All ships target these coordinates. Admiral Mason received the message and ordered every available ship to focus fire on the central node's position. The combined firepower of the fleet tore through the confused harvester defenders and struck the massive crystal structure at the heart of their formation. The central node's destruction was unlike anything witnessed before. It didn't simply explode. It shattered into countless fragments, each piece seeming to scream in silent agony as the hive mind tore itself apart. Across the battlefield, harvester ships went dark. Some exploded. Others simply drifted, lifeless. The war ended not with a lengthy campaign, but with a single decisive blow, humanity's thunder breaking the harvester hive mind forever. 3 days later, the Federation Council convened a special session. Supreme Counselor Vexer addressed the assembled representatives of thousands of worlds. Today we formally end the quarantine of Earth and invite humanity to take their rightful place among the stars. They came when we thought no one would arrive. They fought when we had forgotten how. They sacrificed when we had lost hope. As John Garrick accepted the Federation's highest honor on behalf of Earth, young Jixmore, rescued from the lightning strike's wreckage, watched from a healing pod. He would become the first of a new generation of Federation diplomats assigned to Earth, building bridges between humanity and the galaxy they had saved. They were afraid we would bring war to the stars, Ellie Winters remarked to John after the ceremony. Instead, we brought victory and thunder, John added softly, remembering Frank and all the others who had given their lives. We descended like thunder,